So, how's everybody doing? Yeah? You had a good time over here? Have you learned something? Yeah. How about over here?
Inspired? Anyone? Yes.
This side's louder than this side. Should we try that again? Did you learn anything over here? How about this side? Okay, I'm stopping. All right.
The ESF crew is always going to be.
Well, the EFs, they got volume. So what we wanted to do is just spend a couple of minutes kind of, digesting a little bit about what we've heard here today. And maybe we want to come back to kind of some of the words, right? You want to play that game with the audience?
I think we're not going to roll the dice on technology.
Well, just shout out. I like the shout out thing.
Okay. We asked you this question at the beginning. We'll ask you here at the end. What are some words that come to mind when you hear the word conflict? Growth. Excuse me? Common ground. What else? Opportunity. Possibility. Development. Sacrificing. Collaboration. Community. Compromise. Solutions. Relationships.
Love it.
I'd like to. I'll stop on that one, Frank, if I can.
I'm sorry we don't have the data, right, dear academics, because that's a very distinctive and different sound in the morning. So how do you explain that?
Yeah, so this exercise we do is a pre-post exercise in the assessment work that we do at Middlebury for students who are going through our experiential opportunities and through our courses. What is your orientation towards conflict before really thinking about these possibilities and what's at the end? And we are seeing a shift. It is not sufficient. We have a lot to do once we've changed our understanding of conflict, but the first step is to see conflict as either unavoidable or to see it as the ingredient that is necessary to introduce deeper relationships and positive social change.
Let me just push back on one thing a little bit, Nada, and Sarah and Imani, chime in on this because I'd be really interested in your thoughts as the digital storyteller here. I had somebody come up to me, it was during lunch, who said, this is all lovely, but this is not the world we live in. We're not just going to be able to hold hands, sing Kumbaya, deep listen, and our problems are going to go away, or that we're going to resolve some of this. And there are people who don't want to resolve this. So what is our response to that? How are we as citizens and storytellers supposed to absorb and channel that?
I mean, one thing that I always come to is I love empathy, obviously, and I love this framing around critical empathy, which is the idea that I don't understand what it's like for you to move through the world, and that's my starting place, even though my goal is to see it. I went to a workshop years ago where we actually put on each other's shoes. Would you like to do that? Doubt it. But it's
like going to a bowling alley.
Right, exactly, right. So critical empathy is that starting place of this is really hard work, and that if there are more of us that have the toolkits to select from to say, I'm doing advocacy, I'm doing activism, I'm doing education, and more of us have that collective understanding, to me that helps move the needle, and then we're able to work within our sphere of influence.
Oh, that's super important. And I think it's really when we have these larger conversations, we have to start somewhere. And I think part of us getting frustrated and downtrodden, and just be fair, outright sad and depressed and overwhelmed, but we have to start somewhere. And so being able to have complex, difficult conversations and at least find a place, we might not always agree, but hopefully we can at least have respectful conversations.
So I've asked everybody here to pick one or two things that we've talked about today to have processed and then share with you to be your takeaways, our takeaways from what we heard today. We heard about deep listening. We heard about centering communities. We heard about respectful differences and difficult conversations and all that. Sarah, you want to go first with that? What's your takeaway from the day that we should all take away?
Yeah, this is my first Planet Forward, and it's been such an extraordinary experience to be here with all of you, and I'm really grateful. I'm struck by how powerful the stories are that we've heard over the course of the day. And I'm also struck as a storyteller myself by the fact that we probably heard the polished version of those stories rather than all of the hard work and discomfort that went into compiling those. And so for me, one of the takeaways is what it means to do that work, to get to that place where you have that thing that you're so proud of, right? Where you think that it exhibits the complexity and the curiosity that you're trying to foster. So one way that we talk about this is to practice getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. We've been doing this work for about 4 years at Middlebury now, and often we hear 2 critiques in response. One is, I love conflict transformation because those people over there are broken and they should fix themselves. Or, and this is real, don't tell me about positive conflict because I have been subjected to great harm from conflict. So we distinguish between feeling uncomfortable and feeling unsafe. That positive friction is important, but at some point people shut down. I cannot know where you are in that conversation, but that is something for us to all reflect on our own. But if we're in that place where we're saying this has to work because they have to fix themselves, we are interdependent with them, right? It is not them and us, it is we. And how do we think about how we don't yet know their full stories? And it is by practicing listening, being uncomfortable with, or being comfortable with that discomfort, that we can be more curious and learn where they're coming from.
I love that. I think for me, the biggest thing is respecting traditions. I do a lot of work in communities that I'm not indigenously a part of. And I think it's so important to be able to have complex conversations with people that don't look like you, that do not come from the same background as you, and respecting those traditions. I love our Indigenous correspondence group. I love the previous panel that we had this afternoon. I think of Sajan's work, and I had the opportunity to have more complex conversations with her in Rome. And I think it's just really, really important because the way in which we connect is through respecting and understanding our deep traditions and our passions and our language, and that's just really important.
Yeah, as you all know by now, I love talking about tension. So one of the tensions that I think a lot about is, I heard a lot about inquiry, but also a lot about change, and how do we have kind of that balancing act. And I heard a lot of amazing toolkits that people and strategies were offering around how to balance those. And I also, given what all of you have said so far, reciprocity, I feel like that building of the relationship so that you can collectively create aspirations together. To me, I heard a lot of amazing inspirational insights around that issue of reciprocity, not like human, environment, human, all of the reciprocity that we can imagine together. So,
And my takeaways would be 2. One is on the whole notion of deep listening. This is so important, and we're actually pretty terrible listeners much of the time. And social media doesn't help, and texting doesn't help, because we talk out rather than taking in. And sitting down and really being a deep listener, as an exercise I do with my students, interview somebody, ask them questions, 20 minutes, 2 words you're not allowed to utter, I or me. It's all about that other person. And how do we really center on what we're hearing from their experience? The other is a word that's come up a lot, authenticity. Authenticity in who you are and how you project and how you tell a story. Authenticity in who you're listening to and how you're conveying their story. And authenticity as a storyteller, because the audience will see right through you if you're not. And that it doesn't matter whether you're like Bilal, a filmmaker, or a journalist like Teek doing a quick turn on a story, or you're at a company and you're telling a story to your boss or to your team. Authenticity is what makes you real and relatable, and that too, I think, can help, bridge, if not transform, conflict. So those are our takeaways. I want to do a special deep thanks to Sarah and Netta, who've been working on this with us for a year. I want to do a special shout out to Middlebury and the Conflict Transformation Collaborative. And we have 2 special guests with us from Middlebury, Michelle McCauley, who is the provost and with us, and Ian Balcom, who is the incoming president of Middlebury, traveled up from UVA, where he was the provost. Ian, welcome to an amazing community, and we're so thrilled you're here. Thank you all very much, and we are now going to turn to some opportunities with Planet Forward. So we'll have a chance to follow up with you, and you're doing a workshop tomorrow, right?
Workshop tomorrow.
Okay,
Exactly.
so there's more to come.
thank you.
This is the fun part of the fun part.
Part of the fun part.
Okay.
Lots of fun parts.
All right. So we are going to be talking about some opportunities going forward. I've had a lot of folks say, "What can I do with Planet Forward?" So
How can I get involved?
here are a few things.
Correspondence program for next year. We are currently accepting applications, so please, planetforward.org. Also, if you see Aaron Dye, Kim Ossie, myself, anyone in a Planet Forward shirt, talk to them, apply.
One of the things we do, we offer workshops, and so to our schools who are here, we can do this virtually, or we can do it in person. Certainly our correspondence, and that is we work very closely with Adobe. You know many of the Adobe Photoshop and other tools. We're very high on Adobe Express multimedia storytelling. So those are opportunities too.
We do. And then we have the SELF, otherwise known as the Student Experiential Learning Fund. So that was one of the opportunities that Devin, who just was on our panel, talked about. He was able to go do some really interesting things in his home country of Bali. And so that will primarily provide support for our pillar school students. So pay attention.
We're launching an environmental media lab. Planet Forward is. Aaron Dye is taking the lead on that. It's going to be very exciting, taking students to the wilderness and water. I may have something on that in a moment. And various other places to learn, to experience, and do storytelling. So stay tuned to that space.
We also have a GW Sustainability Masters program. So those tables are outside, but we're especially excited about the new Climate and Sustainability track in our Media and Strategic Communications Masters program. Feel free to go to smpa.gwu.edu to find out more information.
Okay. And now I have some fun stuff.
Oh, you do?
I think so.
You have a new partnership to share.
I do.
What is this partnership?
I'm going to tell you all about
Okay.
it. All right.
Tell me.
All right. So I'm going to thank Imani, and I'm going to get ready to call up someone special.
Yes.
So thank you,
Someone
Imani.
else special.
Someone else special.
Obviously.
Someone else special. Imani and I have been doing this for a long time. Somebody said, you guys should take this thing on the road. So if there's anybody out there with a big contract for 2 people, you're looking for us, let us know. We're happy to do that. I am really, really excited about this. One of the things, as you can tell, that we value the most is exposing students to new places, new experiences, to learn, to absorb, and then to tell those stories. That process of telling stories is a great way to take in information, data, science, synthesize it, turn it into a narrative, and then share it with a wider audience. I would like to bring up to stage Allison Tuttle. I'm going to introduce Allison. All right, Allison, tell people where you're from.
Hi, everybody. I'm from Mystic Aquarium in Mystic, Connecticut.
Mystic, Connecticut. Tell them what you do there.
At Mystic, I'm the Chief Zoological Officer, which means I oversee all of the animal programs and also our interpretation.
Tell them the kinds of animals you have there.
We have 5,000 kinds of animals, so that could take a while. But some of our centerpiece animals include beluga whales, the African penguin, which was recently uplisted to critically endangered, and we have a robust and busy animal rescue program that responds to marine mammals and sea turtles in need of help all across the coast.
Tell them who you've been talking to for the last little bit.
Ta-da!
Tell them what we're doing.
So we're really excited to be kicking off a fellowship in partnership with Frank and Planet Forward. We are going to be bringing 2 amazing fellows from GW to Mystic Aquarium this summer. They're going to have access to all of our mission elements, front of house, back of house. We're going to show them everything from how we inspire our guests, how we educate and engage the public, our citizen science, our world-class animal care, and our conservation research. So it'll be a smorgasbord of elements for them to be exposed to think about, to pick from, and then they'll be creating a piece to tell the story of their choosing.
And there's a particular focus on beluga whales and these African penguins you mentioned, because you're in the lead on these activities.
That's correct.
I think we have some of these stories here. So by the way, I visited, you see that guy there up at the top? What was going on there?
Special moment with the sea lion.
Yes, yes. He was very kind and thoughtful. But there's your belugas and the African penguins. But talk about your beluga whale and African penguin projects.
Yeah, at Mystic Aquarium, we really engage in integrated conservation work, which is everything from inspiring our guests with the animals as ambassadors at our campus to bringing the education to schools, education of all levels, actually, starting at preschool level all the way up through adults who are well out of college. And we, in we work there with our world-class animal care, developing new techniques. Our animals are there in a living laboratory where we can do conservation research on them, and then we build tools which we can take to the wild environment. So our scientists and our staff are on the ground in South Africa, are up there in Point Lay, Alaska, for example, working on penguins and belugas, respectively.
Okay, so our two fellows are here, so if we can have house lights, I'd like to introduce you to Cecilia Secola. Ceci, where are you? Where? Stand up. Wave to everybody. So Ceci is pursuing her BS in Environmental and Sustainability Sciences. She wants to become a marine veterinarian. Is that what you do?
That's what I do.
Okay, so she's hanging out with good people. She's from Puerto Rico. Spent last summer as an intern at the Caribbean Manatee Conservation Center, rescuing and caring for manatees. So this is going to be an amazing opportunity for her. And our other fellow is Dre Pedamonte. Dre, you've seen. She's been hanging out with Planet Forward. She's an English major with a focus on journalism that supports her passion for storytelling. She works with us, as I mentioned, in across mediums, text, video, music, digital media, and other things. So, Allison, how are they going to be working together, and what do we expect from them by the end of the summer?
Well, we're really excited for them to work hand in hand with our team and be exposed to all of the elements that we do. So with Ceci representing science and Dre representing storytelling, we're hoping that they're going to be each other's best partners as they go through this experience, identifying something that's really meaningful for them, and then choosing whatever media suits them in order to tell this story. And we're really excited. One of the things at Mystic Aquarium that we're passionate about is taking the work that we do and bringing it forward so more people can be inspired by it and more people can be affected by it.
I want to thank Mike Leck, who was with us earlier today but has had to leave. He is a GW parent. He's on your board, and he has been incredibly helpful at setting up our conversations and helping to make this possible. So thank you very much. And are we excited for these guys or what? Huh?
Thank you.
Hang on. I'm gonna alter the flow a little bit because I was going to thank you. You were going to go back down, and then I was going to have the great pleasure and privilege of introducing President Ellen Granberg, the president of George Washington University. But if she's there, I might ask her to come out now and to thank you, Allison, too, because of this incredible thing we're going to do. So President Granberg, you there?
I am. Hi, everybody.
I just thought spontaneously that it would be kind of a nice thing for us together to say thank you to Mystic.
I am so excited about this partnership. And I had the opportunity to have lunch with your board member who made it possible, or dinner, actually it was dinner, and you could see the excitement on his face, and we're completely thrilled, and I'm so excited for the students.
We are too. We hope it's the start of a long partnership.
We do too.
Okay, thank you so much, Allison. We're
Thank
looking
you.
forward to it. I may just visit. So I am so thrilled that you're here. Thank you so much. We have had an amazing day talking about storytelling and conflict and how we can maybe make the world a better place through our narratives.
Fantastic. I've been hearing really good things, so
Well,
glad to be here for Parkland.
Well, we're glad you're here. One of the reasons that you're here is because we spent some very serious time together
Yes, we
last
did.
year.
Yes, we
Because
did.
last year, our StoryFest winners went to the Galapagos, and President Granberg and her wife Sonia came with us. There's Sonia. Say hi, Sonia, to everybody. And we have a couple pictures from our time there. You know, this was kind of a special time. There you
yeah.
are in front of them.
I look like I was having fun.
Yeah, well, you know. And you took your own time because you wanted to come on this trip to see students. Maybe you could share why that was, why you wanted to be there.
So I remember the first time I met you.
Uh-oh.
And you were in my office to tell me about your work with the Sustainability Alliance. And then you told me about this program in Planet Forward. And the thing that got me just so excited is the idea of storytelling as a part of saving the planet. I'm a sociologist. I believe in stories. I believe in the power of stories. And I just love that idea. And so then when I heard there was a chance to actually spend some time with students who had gone through that whole program and get to go to the Galapagos, it sounded good to me. And so I convinced Sonia to put off a trip to Portugal by 1 year, but we're going in June. And it was an absolutely amazing time.
And you had some very interesting conversations with students while we were there that I remember
Yeah.
about their experience and what this climate crisis means for them.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It was. I was really honored to get a chance to have some really deep and personal conversations with the group of students that were with us. And part of what really struck me about their experience is the degree to which the climate crisis looms so large in their sense of safety, their sense of security. And what was inspiring is that they talked about the way in which engaging with Planet Forward, learning through Planet Forward and then doing the stories, gave them a sense of hope and empowerment where they realized that they weren't going to wake up the next morning and see the planet gone, that things are very serious, that work needs to be done, but that they had an opportunity to be a part of it. And I found that incredibly moving.
One of the things that President Granberg and the provost here have asked me to do is to lead our new Alliance for Sustainable Future, which we call a dynamic hub that brings together across disciplines our research, our teaching, our convening, and our communication. Sustainability matters to you, and you've made it an institutional priority. Why?
A couple of reasons. One reason is the importance of it. GW is a place that wants to turn research and education into impact. And if you want to do that, what you want to do is tackle the biggest and most important challenges. And certainly sustainability is one of those. It's also an incredible opportunity to make use of all the many disciplines across GW.
Right.
We can pull things together in a way that very few places can. And because of where we're located, because of our networks, we can also help turn that into policy and law in a way that others cannot do. And so it was both the importance of the issue and the opportunity it presented.
We talk about, with this alliance now, collaborate, right? We collaborate to go beyond conflict, to research, to do. Communicate so that we can explain it and bring people in. And navigate so we can actually get someplace and get something done. Want to move to StoryFest in a minute. This is really cool. This is what we've been waiting for. And President Granberg's going to stay here, and we're going to have the envelope, please. But before we do it, I just want to, just very quickly, how you doing?
Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You know it's a crazy time, right? Everybody knows it's a crazy time.
I couldn't leave the 800-pound gorilla, right?
Absolutely,
I mean, what kind of a nutty place are we in now?
We are truly in a nutty place. But I'll tell you all what I tell other people, which is there's kind of two worlds right now. You know, there's a world up here with crazy things happening in the federal government, with a lot of people who are nervous, who are scared, who are anxious. Also a lot of people who are working hard to prepare for whatever might come and to protect our students and our faculty and staff. Then there's the world where we educate students and deliver world-class research. And I was given some advice by an alum who is very close to the current administration. And this was right before the inauguration. And he said, know who you are as an institution, know your values and your mission, execute those at the highest level possible, and focus on that. I had a chance last week to ask him if that would still be his advice. And he said yes.
This is
and
good.
So it's kind of two worlds. And I think we are managing to prepare and be cognizant, but to keep our eye on our fundamental mission.
Well, that's great, and I'm very glad to hear that, and that is what we're doing. And our commitment is to you and to
That's
our
right.
students
That's
and
right.
to our faculty and to our staff and our mission to educate. So